John chapter 20, verses 19 to 31. Jesus is alive! It's evening, the first day of the week, and the disciples are all huddled together, hiding behind locked doors. They're still really afraid of the Jewish leaders. Jesus is alive! And they know it, because suddenly there he is, standing among them. Shalom, he says. Just an ordinary greeting. But there is nothing ordinary about this moment. As he shows them his hands and his side, the disciples are overjoyed. Jesus is alive. Shalom, he says again. Peace be with you. And then he gives them a job. My Father sent me, he says, and now I am sending you. And he gives them what they need for the job by breathing on them. Receive the Holy Spirit, he says. What you forgive is forgiven. What you don't forgive is not. And then he goes. Jesus is alive! The disciples have seen him. Well, all of the disciples bar one. Thomas is his name. And when the others tell him what happened, he is incredulous. Incredulous is a much bigger word than doubting, which means the same thing. And before you start casting aspersions and placing adjectives before his name, consider for a moment how you might have reacted had you alone, out of all of your friends, missed the most amazing thing that was likely to ever happen to you. You say you saw the nail marks in his hands? Thomas asks. You say you saw his wounded side? Well, until I put my fingers in those nail marks, until I put my hand into his side, I will not believe. Jesus is alive. A week has passed. The disciples are together again. And this time, Thomas is there too. The doors are still locked, but locks don't keep Jesus from suddenly standing among them. Shalom, he greets them. And then he turns to Thomas and holds out his hands. Put your finger here, he says, and put your hand into my side. Don't doubt, believe. But instead of reaching out his finger or his hand, Thomas simply opens his mouth. My Lord and my God, he confesses. Jesus is alive! You have seen me, he says, and because of that, you have believed. Blessed are those, he continues, who believe without seeing. And that's why this book has been written. John concludes, not to tell everything that Jesus did, but to tell enough that you might believe that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of God, and that by believing you might have life in his name, because Jesus is alive.